I think you are ready to call us to service. Is this, hang on, is this one on? This is just a mic check. John is, hey guys. This is your preliminary call to service so we can check tech. He's gonna do the official stuff. I just want to check the mic. Is that working okay? Okay. Jan.
This is the
1, 2, 3, go.
This is the tech check to check the tech. So if we're okay there are a few online and we welcome them. And we're also welcoming spring. There seems to be no need for any adjustments, but you know what is nice, even though a lot of the equipment is gone, if we turn around and face John in the camera and wave, those people online will see us and hopefully they're wishing us a good morning also. Okay.
Nevin's trying to do the.
As Nevin rang the bowl, let's relax into this common time and space. And we have to realize that we need to be together. We yearn for connection, the familiar faces of friends, and the sound of our shared voices. Nevin. For those of you who don't know, that's Nevin Dawson. And I saw some foot tapping and some swaying out there. So I'm glad to see you're connected. And that was Blackberry Blossom, I think, if anybody wants to follow up on it. So good morning, friends, members and visitors, both here in the sanctuary and those online. I am Jan Sprinkle, our worship leader today, and I'm joining Reverend Sue Browning for our service. Okay, we are glad to see you, and I'm getting ahead of myself because I've got things in my script that we've already done. As we continue to gradually reopen from the COVID restrictions, we are again offering coffee And I think I caught the scent of some snacks that might be available after the service. And if the weather permits, and it looks like it might, we can go outside and enjoy our after-service snacks. And we are also reintroducing, in a gentle way, choir singing. The hymnals are on the seat back in front of you. And we are aware that most of us haven't sung for about 2 years, so we're trying to keep it not too complicated. Now we have a couple of announcements, one of which from the worship committee. Our traditional summer discussion will begin Sunday, June 5th. The sign-up sheets in the lobby whiteboard. Please consider leading a discussion on a topic of interest to you. Nancy, did you have a separate announcement? I thought so.
Well, this may come somewhere else in terms of the wonderful event last night, the wonderful auction, 2 weeks of silent auction. It takes a village, everybody, so many people contributed so much time and effort. But I take my hat off on behalf of the board and the congregation to Jane Hardy, because she took on, I know I'm embarrassing you, Jane, I'm sorry. But she took this on, something out of her comfort level for sure with the online aspects, and got it coordinated. She was here every day this past week for every bit of the work that was done. And so, Jane, this is just a little thank you from the board and the congregation. And
Just leave it up there.
well, I'm going to walk it out because we're going to bring the flowers in. So. And thank you to everybody who supported Jane.
Thank you all. Are there other announcements that I've missed at this point? Excellent. I think we're good. Let's now light the chalice.
So I get to say good morning to, and just as we light the chalice, recognize that this room felt different last night as people's generosity and celebration were coming forward. And this room feels different by the people who showed up at, I don't know what time this morning, but when I got here, cars were here hauling stuff away. So for all the different ways we come together, we light this chalice this morning. I invite us all to say the chalice lighting words. We light this chalice as a symbol of the light within all creation. We light this chalice for truth. May the search for truth be with us always. We light this chalice for love. May the love for others be strong in our hearts.
Thank you. So today's service includes a unique Unitarian Universalist celebration, the flower communion. I apologize if some of you are offended by the use of the word communion, but we mean it only in the best sense here. Reverend Sue will expand on the history of this seasonal and meaningful rite, but I'd like to share an opportunity that Judy and I had several years ago. We were on a choir trip sponsored by our Annapolis UU Church to visit our partner congregation in Rava, Romania. That alone was an experience. Our first stop after a full English breakfast at Heathrow Airport was in Prague, the Czech Republic. We had a scheduled visit to the Unitarian Church there, partly because our previous intern at the Annapolis Church was of Czech nationality, and he was serving, Peter Dolak, was serving as the minister at the Prague Church. So that was great. Plus, by a fortunate coincidence, he was getting married during our visit. So the choir was invited to the wedding. We sang during the wedding service. We participated in the reception. It was a grand time, an unbelievable experience. It was only later that some of us realized that that church was the location of the first flower communion, which Sue will tell us more about in her sermon. Norbert Čapek, who created the service in June 1923, did not survive the Holocaust, but his wife, Maya, brought the idea to the United States in 1940, and she was instrumental in its widespread use today, widespread being exclusively Unitarian churches, I think, but not even all. Judy and I feel very fortunate that we had the opportunity to experience some of the history of this particular ritual and much of early Unitarianism.
I think as we talk about beauty today and we think about flowers, I want to think about beauty as a path of connection. And I think when Jan and Judy helped collect the flowers today, it just reminds us of places that we didn't expect connections. And that story was a beautiful one. The reason that Norbert Čapek, he was a minister, he had been Catholic, then Baptist, then Unitarian. What happened was they kept stripping back some of the traditions in churches. And what he was feeling was a need for symbolic ritual. I want to think about some of the symbolic rituals in all of our lives and the ways that ritual binds us together. He wanted a format that would be something that wouldn't alienate folks who had pushed back from different religions. And that was how this tradition came to be. I want us to picture today, because I've thought a lot about the geography of Central Europe that we're thinking a lot more about with everything going on in the Ukraine. But back in the 1920s, people were invited to pick a flower up from their own gardens or along the roadside. Today, we've supplemented with some from Acme. And when they would arrive at church, just like you saw today, we had a couple of different flowers. Each person would add their flower from their location, signifying it was their free will that had brought them this morning. The young attendants would arrange the bouquet. We've got our bouquets arranged. And at the end of the service, just like was done then, everyone here is going to be invited to take a flower home, care for it, and remember this moment, this collection. So we're doing it similarly, remembering the ways that our lives, the experiences in our lives, who we are, and all the ways we connect to other Unitarian and Unitarian Universalists, to remember those connections as the bouquets are formed. I've invited a few of our folks who can now go out and grab the vases. If you need extra help, Bob will probably help. And Nevin, I think, is going to play just a little background music here as we bring the flowers forward. Okay, go for it. We have this beauty before us. There's not a reason to do more, and yet it's symbolic rituals. In this case, a blessing of the flowers that help us pause together in a special way. When we consecrate something, what it means is we declare that these bouquets that have been formed this morning are sacred in their way. In Unitarian Universalist terms, we are reminded that beauty draws us together. It's a sense of reverence, a sense of deep respect we hold for this community and the ways our individual hearts are blended together. With this, I bless these flowers.
There is in our hymnal, number 8, if you would like to pull it out, a hymn, lyrics written by Norbert Chopek. And I think it will capture very much his mindset. And it would be nice if we could sing, well, I thought maybe just one verse, but it's pretty short. So Nevin will play through it once and maybe we can do all 3 verses. It is 3, isn't it? Number 8. Okay, well, they're short, sure.
I'll play it 3 6.
Many drops are in the ocean when all die. Sunlight bounces off the ripples to the sky. What to give you, what to call you, who am I am empty, time flies from me, what is time? Dreams eternal, fears infernal, haunt my eye. What to give you, what to call you, oh my God. Mother Spirit, Father Spirit, take our hearts. Take our breath and let our voices sing our part. Take our hands and let us learn to shape our heart. Thank you. That was very nice. Diane, I think it's time to recognize new members.
Good morning, and this is the first new member recognition ceremony we've had since before COVID, and we actually have 10 or 11 new members, and most of them are here this morning. So I'm going to call you up, Elizabeth Tully, and bring your words with you. We're going to have a little reading. Elizabeth Tully, Judy and Jen, Jen's here, Cynthia Ramsey. Where's Cynthia? There's Cynthia. Catherine Brooks, Larry and Connie Schroth, Terry Goldzier, and Marilee Tausig.
And for our team photographers, if anybody has a camera or a phone, anybody have a phone in their pocket that can take the picture here? We can pull a chair up too. If the chair is better, Catherine, chair right behind you.
Okay, does anybody need a, there you go. All right. And when we finish, before you leave the sanctuary, we have a little gift for each of you. actually a bar of chocolate. There's milk chocolate or dark chocolate, so don't leave without.
Beauty in many forms.
So I'm gonna read the words for the leader. The new members will respond. And in the middle, there's something for the congregation to join us in. It is a joy to welcome each of you into our community of memory and hope. Will you walk together with us, sharing the joys and the responsibilities of membership?
Yes, we join this congregation in the spirit of faith, hope, and community.
Members of the Unitarian Universalists of the Chester River, will you welcome these people into our congregation? Will you reach out to them in friendship, including them in our activities and fellowship? Will you be open to their unique gifts and perspectives? Will you extend a warm welcome to each of them, remembering that each of us was once a new member?
Yes. Join our strengths, tithes, and commitments with yours. You are a part of us, and we are a part of you.
Becoming a member of this church is an important step, but it is only a first step. I charge you new members to grow in your faith. More importantly, I charge you to find and share your special gifts with us. Ours is a shared ministry. Each of us has a crucial role to play. We need you. We need your energy. We need your ideas. Give generously of yourselves and your rewards will be great. And I have to say that just about everybody up here has jumped right in and already is working hard. And I really appreciate that. I invite you to light your candle from our candle. Each of you brings light, vitality, and renewal to our community. Each of our lights has a common source. Together, we form a beacon of hope to each other and to our wonderful world. May your light shine brightly among us for many years. Welcome to your church home. And ordinarily, I give everybody a hug. Virtual hug.
Yeah,
So welcome.
thank you. The gifts come later, or are you doing them now?
Yes, they.
Okay, you have to wait. We're teaching
Yes.
patience.
Make sure nobody starts. No, you're not, Larry.
There's something about seeing all the members in front of all the bouquets and a sense of blessing. And I also offer you my support in your spiritual journeys in whatever way that fits for you. We pause now in a moment of reflection and meditation. The reading today is one by Richard Gilbert. It's called Life is Always Unfinished Business. In the midst of the whirling day, in the hectic rush to be doing, I'm gonna just wait for 1 second. We're good. It's okay. It's all good. It's all good. We are just gonna wait. I'm gonna go ahead and start that over. That's fine. That happens often. In the midst of the whirling day, in the hectic rush to be doing, in the frantic pace of life, pause here for a moment and catch your breath. Relax your body and loosen your grip on life. Consider that our lives are always unfinished business. Imagine that the picture of our being is never complete. Allow your life to be a work in progress. Do not hurry to mold the masterpiece. Do not rush to finish the picture. Do not be impatient to complete the drawing. From beckoning birth to drawing of death, we are in process, and always there is more to be done. Do not let the incompleteness weigh on your spirit. Do not despair that imperfection marks your everyday. Do not fear that we are all still in the making. Let us instead be grateful that the world is still to be created. Let us give thanks that we can be more than we are, and let us celebrate the power of the incomplete, for life is always unfinished business. We come together each week and recognize that our lives have had joys and sorrows, milestones, and just times of the everyday. It's with this that we have our acknowledgements of the heart, and Jan will lead us in joys and concerns.
And for those of you who are on the Zoom, you can activate the little raise hand button and our tech team will direct your joy or concern to us. But first, as we regularly share, I'll light a candle for all the COVID victims, families, frontline workers, as well as those in our congregation facing illness, recoveries from surgeries or accidents. And we'll also light a candle for those in Ukraine, the surrounding areas affected by the Russian invasion. The horrible challenge of this man-made travesty, especially after enduring the pandemic, it must be almost unbearable. And the destruction, as we see it on the news reports, is just awful. So at this time, if you have a joy or concern to share, please come up to the mic and please come around this way. Let's not trip over the little bit of gear we got.
This way. So,
There you go.
thank you. So I'm, hope you'll light a candle for gratitude. I want to thank all of you who donated to our auctions. We had a silent auction, a live auction, and a cash and carry sale. Thank you all for your generous donations, because we brought in over $8,000 yesterday. There's still many expenses to be subtracted from that, but it was a very good night, 3 days actually. And 26 people put this together. It was 26 of you that helped constantly. And we're very grateful to you, or I am, and I hope everybody else is, but 3 people in particular I'd like to acknowledge. One is David Beeler, who brought us Leonard. Where's David? Anyway, he brought us Leonard. Leonard was a small but mighty man who moved all the tables 14 times and moved all the chairs and moved the hymnals. And we would have just been worn to death without Leonard. So thank you, David. And Lynn Dolinger for stepping in to be our auctioneer. Thank you, Lynn. That was a big job. An hour and a half of standing on her feet, taking all kinds of abuse from us. She did great. And finally, Darlene Wiggers, who of course is the brains behind every detail of this event or these events. So please thank her. So thank you all.
Thank you. Back in my school days, when someone did an exemplary job, she got whooped up. I don't think this is for Jane. I don't think we can thank her enough. And so whoop her up, whoop her up, whoop her up some more. Jane Hardy is the one that we all adore. She's such a peach. She's won our heart. She always plays the game. She isn't rough. She isn't tough. She gets there just the same. Woo!
That is a tough act to follow. Is there anything online? Nothing.
Get that whoop it up thing.
Well, I can never remember her name. Okay, I'll still attend.
You did.
Well, for these joys and concerns, and it was mostly joys, and that's very pleasant. And those kept in our hearts and not spoken, let's please observe a bit of silence. Blessed be. We now will have some more music from Nevin, This time it is Westphalia Waltz, and I'm going to be watching carefully to see whose feet are doing a waltz.
So our reading today is called Welcome to Nurturing Beauty. Beauty, we appreciate it. How could we not? We wonder at it. We get absorbed in it. We analyze it if it's got a frame around it. We make it, grow it, point at it, collect it, share it, save it. But how often do we listen to it? How often do we ask, What is it trying to get me to hear? Rather than why do I like it or not? It's just so hard to step outside our mangled view of the world that sees everything in the light of consumption. Not everything is here for our possession. Not everything is here to entertain us. Not everything is meant to be put to use, even you. We must find our way back to the questions that were once alive but are buried deep now. What if beauty is here to make us wise? What if beauty is the way the sacred speaks? What if beauty is something we listen to? So beauty. Earlier, you heard about the lives of Norbert and Maja Čapek, their religious journeys through Catholicism, Baptism, Baptist traditions, and Unitarian. Maja is amazing. She was ordained into Unitarian ministry, not Universalist at the time, which is actually incredibly rare. There were not a lot of women that were fully ordained, no less leading congregations, and she was doing that in New Bedford, Massachusetts. Our Unitarian faith, as it was practiced in the Hungarian regions of Romania, goes way back into the 16th century, to the times of the Protestant Reformation. And in the most simple terms, what Unitarians, they were definitely Christian, and they were centering one God. They saw Jesus as human, a human pointing toward God, an amazing model of perfection, but more human. And for that, they were persecuted. They were shoved into various corners. They engaged in the protest part of the Protestant Reformation, and they pushed away from certain Catholic practices, traditional understandings of the Eucharist. They were both anti-Calvinist on the Protestant side and anti the papacy on the Catholic side. Lots they had pushed back. And Norbert Čapek he was a minister, and he held this long history with a lot of pride and energy, but he found there was a spiritual void. And it's something we hear about Unitarian Universalism today. I don't feel it when I watch everybody up here, but it's something about symbolic ritual when it's missing, that we can't quite put our finger on it. Čapek and his Unitarian brethren in Europe and the US, they were offering all the right words. But with the pared back traditions of ritual, there was less spiritual practice to routinely open hearts. There wasn't confession and all the pieces that go with ritual. Flowers, shared the way we've talked about this morning, were part of his response to the void. Flowers, sometimes it's called flower communion, the flower ceremony, is a chance to tell the stories of our faith, and we've done that today. But I think flowers cross in our culture and in the world more. Flowers have long been a way to capture beauty. Flowers are used in worship services across denominations, across world religions, for weddings and for funerals. Think about flowers. We give them for gifts, for birthdays, anniversary, times of gratitude, and holidays. There's beauty that's tied to flowers, the beauty that comes with new love and new friendships as we celebrate feelings, something way beyond aesthetics. We plant flowers in pots by our door, and we attempt gardens that will have some sort of a wave of color for as long as we can stretch out the mid-Atlantic growing season. There's a sense of welcome that comes. I think of flowers, they're just sort of saying, I'm here. I'm offering you the beauty, the sense of calm, and pay attention. Because like everything in life, my blooms are temporary. They're colorful, of varying shapes and sizes, and temporary. Think of the emotional release that comes with flowers. So I think if we go back to the Čapeks, they were in the early 1900s, and this was a time of a lot of turmoil. It was before World War I, then right after World War I. And one of the things the Unitarians were claiming in different rituals was Unitarians, yeah, they had this thing about one God, but they had something else that had come through, particularly with the Unitarians in this region. And it was generally sort of Hungary, Romania, crossed into Poland, was religious tolerance. There was something, the Edict of Torda, which came through the Unitarian traditions, which says, I may believe this, but it's okay if something else is speaking to you. That is also part of our history. The idea of pluralism, the idea that multi-faiths can be embraced. And this region that we've stared at the maps with everything going on in their Ukraine, has been a place of shifting borders for centuries and centuries. We recognize now Ukraine is touching these same regions where this communion was begun. Overlap with the Czech Republic, Slovakia. As Jan mentioned earlier, we see the bombed buildings and the refugees, and we see the way we are connected through our Unitarian siblings. Every time I make statements like this, I also think of the wars in Syria, the wars in places in Africa where I am not as familiar with the geography. I'm not quite as familiar with the traditions, and I think my heart opens, maybe less aware, and I sometimes wonder, what would it take for us to understand that the experiences that are happening in Ukraine happen around the world? Because as we open our hearts to places of connection, we learn. I wonder about what flowers are looking like in the Ukraine this spring. We see a lot of the traditions of both putting wreaths around homes and wreaths around heads. So there's beauty, and it comes in so many forms. It comes in art and nature and music, and in the beauty of a gentle touch, the beauty of holiday food in a spread, the beauty when I was hungry and I showed up last night to the auction and somebody had placed everything out in front of us. The beauty in a simple cup of tea, the warmth, the aroma at just the right time. This past week, I was hosting a session. I was at our sister church in Easton, and it was the Talbot Association of Clergy and Laity. I have long been the chair of that group. I was trying to figure out how I might bring, it was the first meeting back in person that we've had for 2 years, and I was wondering what I could do. And I said, why doesn't everybody break into groups of 2? And here's a question for you. And that gave us, we had about 15, 16 people there. I said, what are you seeing in trends for faith communities? What are your places of hope and challenged? Take 5 minutes. And I rang it. They started talking. Folks spread around a room about this size. After 5 minutes, I rang a chime. Nobody could hear it. I tried a chime. I tried my Girl Scout leader voice. The energy in that room was just amazing. We had lit a chalice at the beginning of the meeting. It was an interfaith meeting, but if we're in my church, I usually do that. And I asked everybody just to go into silence. I asked that we take a moment and look at the flame, to take in the beauty of this time of connection we had just shared. Beauty can be in ideas and values. It can be in the freedom that we just had the chance to gather. Beauty comes in so many forms, and we often appreciate that beauty, whether it's the symmetry, the awe, whatever it is. There's that time at sunset, the beauty of sunset, where we watch gradual shifts and change, and we are just amazed at the seamless and dramatic of the beauty. So there's all that beauty that brings us together in the moment. But what about the beauty that offers us a needed contrast to the harshest experiences? What is it that Norbert and Maya were thinking when they needed to bring together folks in a communion? As I kept staring at the maps, that Sound of Music song, many of the Sound of Music songs just got stuck in my head. There was war back at that time of the Sound of Music that it was depicting in the 1960s movie, but war was surrounding Austria. The Nazis were close, and there was that rendition during the movie of Edelweiss. There's the music of Maria when she's discerning, should she still be a nun or not, and she's in the hills. There's the seeds of the nuns protecting folks in their community on the hillside. And then there's that moment, the beauty when they're escaping over the hills, these beautiful hills against the worst of all atrocities. For me, it's a movie of fear and risk and anger, and it's the beauty that captures the heart. So there's beauty that comes in, there's beauty in contrasts, even bombs. Chapek wrote a book, Toward the Sunnier Shore. He always felt that religion had to find a place of hope. Chapek's theory was that religion was about harmony with some infinite. He says every person is an embodiment of God. In every one of us, God struggles for higher expression. Religion should, before all else, provide inner harmony, which is a precondition to strong character, good health, joyful moods, and a victorious and creative life. So I think that's one of the ways in dark times beauty helps us. Beauty is also part of speaking to us. And ritual helps us do that. If we dive to a whole different place of the literature spectrum, there is a book called The Tao of Pooh. It's in the Winnie the Pooh series. This one is written by Benjamin Hoff. It's sort of a takeoff on Winnie the Pooh wisdom. And I'm going to drop us right into the story. So we've been in Sound of Music, drop us right into the story. And here's Piglet checking in with Pooh. Say, Pooh, aren't you busy? Piglet said, because it's a nice day. Or why aren't you busy? I'm sorry. Say, Pooh, why aren't you busy? Well, because it's a nice day, said Pooh. Yes, but why ruin it, said Pooh. But you could be doing something important, Piglet said. I am, said Pooh. Oh, doing what? Listening, he said. Piglet, listening to what? Well, to the birds and to the squirrels over there. What are they saying? Piglet asked. That it's a nice day, said Pooh. But you know that already, said Piglet. Yes, but it's always good to hear that somebody else thinks so too. It's that pause, that listening part of sharing the moment. And Pooh takes us back to the question I raised at the beginning. Are we listening to the beauty around us? In that reading on beauty, we're asked to go beyond enjoying or being grateful for beauty. We're asked to listen. What might you hear? What if beauty is here to make us wise? What if beauty, in all the ways I've described beauty, from aesthetic beauty to relational beauty, all those places, what if that is the way the sacred speaks? What if it's helping us heal? Beauty can be a part of transformation. It's a conduit for what our heart is calling for, and it's inexact at times. You know that feeling where you think, I know it when I'll see it? When is the time you've been healed by beauty? Have you ever been protected by beauty? Has beauty ever taught you something? I think as we go through the second part of our flower communion, these are some questions we can ask over the week. There is beauty when we share energy that can dart by, that energy is around us, and it's the symbolic ritual yearned for from religions way past, from pagan traditions way past, all the way back, where people need to do the same thing over and over to catch up with the cycle and the rhythms in our lives. These are rituals of pause, rituals of connection, and rituals of transformation. In a moment, I'm going to invite everybody to come forward as you can, and we'll also bring a few of the vases around. Maybe some of the folks, it actually may be a little easier today because of logistics. The folks that brought flowers forward for me, maybe you can walk around in the pews, so to speak, and give flowers out. I think it's a little too much over here. While Nevin plays some music in just a minute. What I want you to hear is that each of us brings something special to this community, to this fellowship. Just as each flower before us is different, beautiful in its own way, you are invited in a moment to take a flower. The gifts we bring and the bounty we receive are not the same. And yet it is in this way that we accept one another and we hold in reverence the gifts we bring to this community. In this fellowship, we accept the gifts we receive, the bounty of nature, for receiving is no less important than giving. May we all receive the gifts of love and diversity, friendship and hope, and treasure them when we are apart, as well as when we are together. So I invite forward whoever brought flowers, not individually, whoever brought the vases forward to come forward and we can pass them out row by row. Gratitude to our flower team. Our closing hymn today is hymn number 76. I think we can try Rising in Body or Spirit as Jen lets us know how this is all going to work.
Do I know how this is all going to work? Well, Nevin will play through it once. We might need that much guidance. It's 3 short verses, and I see no reason why we can't do 3 short verses. For flowers that bloom about our feet, for tender grass so fresh and sweet, for songs of bird and hum of bee, for all things fair we hear or see. Giver of all, we thank thee. For blue of stream and blue of sky, for pleasant shade of branches high, for fragrant air and cooling breeze, for beauty shelter of the night, for health and food, for love and friends, for everything thy goodness sends. Giver of all, we thank thee.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our closing words today are from Ande Ackerman, adapted a bit. When we approach with reverence great things, decide to approach us. When we walk on earth with reverence, beauty will decide to trust us. The rushed heart and the arrogant mind lack the gentleness and patience to enter that embrace. Beauty is mysterious, a slow presence who awaits for the ready and expectant heart. I apologize, that was John Donahue. Let's two things up. So go in love, go in peace. Go knowing love surrounds you wherever you may go. We're going to use our chalice extinguishing words and then our sung benediction, which is 10:57.
And following the sung benediction, Nevin will play a postlude for us.
Extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we have in our hearts until we meet again. And the sung benediction is 10:57 in the turquoise hymnal, if anybody needs it. Go, Nancy, where's she? Go.
This is a tune called Sleepless. It's by Jason Anick, who's an amazing violin player. I actually got to know this tune by seeing his group, the Rhythm Future Quartet, play at the Mainstay, and wrote to him and got sheet music, and he provided a backing track as well. So I'm sure this is fun. Sure it is. There it is.
And help yourself to a second or third flower. Fill up some vases at home. They don't do well over the week. Have a great week, everyone. Thank you, Jan.